What is old, really? It's just a word, but it means something very different in our vernacular than historic or ancient. We say old-fashioned, old hat, the old world, old town. It's everywhere in our vocabulary as English speakers. But for the most part, it's an abstract concept. So, what is it? I think old is relative. If I'm being honest, to me a car from 2010 is old. In the US, pre-20th century buildings are old, but in France, 18th century manors are new. Relatively. As I said, it's all about relativity. This past summer, before I came to France, I fell in love with a 125-year-old opera house in my college's town. The Smith Opera House was originally constructed in 1894, which means that 2019 marks its 125th birthday. I love every inch of that building. The sunset frescoes, the stage, the Art Deco ticket vestibule, the mysterious fabric hanging across from the mezzanine. But when I first arrived in France, I started to think, is 125 years really something to celebrate? I mean, there are restaurants in France older than that. In France, old is a part of everyday life. You walk past 16th century timber houses on the way to the metro, or just grabbing a coffee. You can take a day trip to a 1,300-year-old monastery. You can see remnants of Roman occupation on the way to dinner. Or you can enjoy a warm mulled wine in the shadow of a 14th century cathedral. For me, my aha moment, if you will, came the week of break. In 1 week, I visited 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites: Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy, the Pont du Gard, and the Antique Theatre at Orange. All of these sites are like 10 times older than my beloved Smith. But the same questions I posed during my research this summer pestered me at each of these places. How many people built these marvels? Who were they? What inspired them to build? How many people have stood where I am standing and lost their breath? Because that's the thing. The monuments and buildings and old things we adore, whether the United Nations has recognized them as symbols of world heritage or not, we adore for a reason. We desire to be connected with those who came before us, connect to our past, and to learn about the people who lived and loved and left in these same places we stand today. Just because the Smith isn't as old as the Roman arena at Nîmes or the Cathedral de Notre Dame in Strasbourg, that doesn't make it any less important to me, or to the collective history we share. Because that's what really makes something important, or historic. It's how loved it's been. Whether by the people who've lived there, or the stories that have been told, or the people who have flocked from far and wide, it's all a matter of perception, of what we value. You can walk down a medieval street every day, or explore the Marché de Lys every Saturday morning, and never really think about how many other people have done the exact same thing, have walked up that same hill, or tripped on that same cobblestone. There's a story in everything around us. So, what is old? I have no idea. It's different for all of us. And that's hardly a new realization, but it's new to me. And it took me coming somewhere very old to appreciate it.